Hey friends, Rick from BCW here, and I'm in Indianapolis, Indiana at Grandmaster Games. Let's head on inside and take a look around. Hey friends, Rick from BCW here at Grandmaster Games. I've been joined by Alex, the owner. Alex, thank you for taking time out of your day to sit and talk with us. And thank you for being part of the BCW Spotlight.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for being here.
Awesome. Now, I always love to start these off just to get a little bit of background. I want to know how you got involved in gaming. So how did you get started in gaming in general?
Well, it started with Pokemon, so 1999, 2000. I probably saw an ad on like Kids WB, something like that. I just remember literally spending all of my Christmas money on packs, and it just kind of went from there, moved from Pokemon to Yu-Gi-Oh, and then just kind of stuck with Yu-Gi-Oh when it came out. I saw that in a Game Informer magazine, and it was just, I don't know why, but it just kind of hooked me.
Nothing like Game Informer back in the day.
Yep.
For you young people watching this, we didn't have Google. We had magazines that would show us things that were a month or two old, and by the time it actually hit circulation. But it was a good time.
Yep.
So, well, I do want to say you do have a very beautiful store, and I've been to a couple of the different locations for this, and I know your history a little bit, but I want to pry into it. How did spending all your Christmas money on Pokemon packs evolve into now running one of the largest Yu-Gi-Oh event organizers for Konami in the United States, and owning a very large store that has a large online presence come about? Like, walk us through, how did this transition happen?
So it wasn't initially even like a part of my like life plan. You know, I was going to college, I was planning on doing law school, and then it just kind of, I fell out of that. It stopped being interesting to me, and you know, I picked up all the games again because I kind of put it on pause as I was in college. And then it just kind of happened where I, made some friends who were running event management stuff, and I was always more of the guy that had the cards. So they, brought me on and had me manage all the card side of things, and it just got to the point where it just made sense to open up a brick and mortar store, and I guess just here we are now, 7 years later.
six, seven. Nothing happened in the past 6 or 7 years. It could have really put a wrinkle in that plan at all either.
Yeah.
So, we're just going to fast forward through that. But so you started with, and it was Shadow Realms, I believe. And Shadow Realms runs the most Konami regional events for Yu-Gi-Oh! In the United States, correct?
Yeah, so we were covering roughly 12 states at the most that we were doing. So, we were doing events in Boston, we were doing events in Las Vegas. We picked up events in effectively New Orleans, a little bit outside, but pretty much any place that didn't have a like well-ran regional presence, we kind of picked it up and we were doing that.
That's awesome. So you then were also vending at other regionals run by different organizers as well, correct?
Yep.
And you still do that? Or I know, let me back that question up. For the last 2 years, nobody has done that. But moving forward, that you guys are still planning on being involved with that, correct?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy because we were running so many events throughout a season that even if I wanted to do an event at another place that was ran by another one, I might have not had enough staff, or I might have just not had enough time, because there were many weekends where we were running events on, like Shadow Realms was running events on Saturday and Sunday. So most of the time it was just like our own events, but when I could actually go out to like Chicago or St. Louis, ones that are ran by other stores, we would try, but it'd all just be depending on time.
So now, this is not the first location, and this isn't the original name.
Yep.
So can we talk a little bit about the history of the shop as far as the physical shop itself?
Sure.
Where did you start? How many store iterations have you had? And tell us about the naming.
Yeah, so the first, so Shadow Realm Games is the actual company name, but we wanted to sound a little bit more family friendly, not necessarily super Yu-Gi-Oh focused. So that's when we came up with Guardian Games. Now there is a big store named Guardian Games out in Oregon, and I guess I just didn't Google hard enough to find them, because I legit could not find them on Facebook, couldn't find them on Twitter, legit nothing. And then just a few years after that, we end up being asked to change our name, so there was no more conflict, even though that they were like 2,000 miles away. So that's when we came up with Grandmaster Games, and I definitely Googled a lot harder this time to make sure that there weren't other stores with this name. And so thankfully, like, we have the trademark for the name, so just in case I am on the other side of things, I can also just be like, hey, we need you to change that name. But there's been 2 store locations. One was about 5 minutes north of here, just in a teeny tiny strip. It was roughly like 1,900 square feet, and then we're now in a strip next to a Walmart, and it's 4,000 square feet. So definitely a big upgrade.
Yeah, and again, the store is beautiful. Now, one thing I'm a big fan of is the history. And whether it's the banners on the wall, or your display cases, or just the random cards, oversized giant cards that you have floating around. Yes, a lot of it is Yu-Gi-Oh focused, but there's also Pokemon history here. There's Magic history here. Like, there's so much history just within this store. It's definitely worth checking out if you're in the area. So, so you have this history, you have this beautiful store, you are Grandmaster Games, you guys put on events for as Shadow Realm, which is the company name for the event organizer. You guys do stuff online. What don't you do? No, I'm just kidding. And you do. I mean, you have a little bit of pride. I mean, you've got some board games, you guys have some miniatures, and card games. Now, to the best of my knowledge, not putting any store up or down, you guys are very well stocked on sealed product as well as singles. And now, is that stuff available typically online, or is that in-store only?
So most of it is in-store only. I do have a good chunk of older Yu-Gi-Oh product online. That's just typically where it'll move better. But I try to keep it local in terms of the availability. We have a ton of people that come in here and they're just like, you're not my normal game store, but I come in here and I see all of this product from 3, 4, 5 years ago, and it's primarily due to I just like to be well stocked. So I typically will have a good chunk of actual product from Yu-Gi-Oh, Magic, and Pokemon just kind of in the back stock waiting to be sold.
And you also don't just do the big 3. You also have Flesh and Blood. You have Card Fight Vanguard. I mean, you if it's a collectible card game, odds are you have it.
Yep.
And you don't just have, oh, here's a few intro decks. It's you have it. Like, I commend you on that, because it does open it up for more people to enjoy, as well as giving the people a destination to travel to if you're looking for something. Like, you have a single, you have the singles, you guys vend shows. What was your plan going into 2020 2021, 2022, you guys had to shift your business model because a lot of the stuff that you did was event management, was hosting large events locally in the store. How did you guys go through that segment of time that we're not going to name, kind of a la a Harry Potter, if you will?
A black spot.
Right. And again, 6-7 years in, you're talking about your first 4 years really being event organizers, and the brick and mortar store was more of it made sense to now having to circumvent this catastrophe of the business model. What did you do, and how did you guys navigate that so successfully?
So we transitioned online pretty quickly. We already kind of had that infrastructure set up. It was now that we had that time to dedicate to getting organized and actually like getting cards online. And we're still in that process now, but I mean, 2020 was going to be our year. We started that year off super duper strong, and it was really unfortunate that the pandemic happened, but like I said, we transitioned online pretty fast. We moved all of our like Yu-Gi-Oh locals onto Discord for what Konami does, which is called remote duels. It's effectively just dueling over camera. It's honestly a great way to still play the game without having to travel to stores. But the other cool thing about it is it gives a lot of people who don't have locals an opportunity to play in a quote unquote like locals. Because a lot of people that actually play in our remote duels, they don't have a card shop within 10, 20 minutes where you come to Indianapolis and pretty much at any point in the city there is a game store 10 minutes away. So it just gives that opportunity to people who might not necessarily have it. So and we do that pretty much every day of the week, just to give everybody that opportunity. But now, now that things are kind of relaxing with the pandemic and everything, we're slowly getting back into hosting events and just picking up where we left off from 2020.
Well, I mean, that's awesome because if you can pick up with the momentum moving forward, especially with Yu-Gi-Oh! We were talking a little bit beforehand, but Yu-Gi-Oh! Konami has done something phenomenal for Yu-Gi-Oh! And they made the digital platform Master Duels.
Yep.
And now Yu-Gi-Oh! Is getting more searches on Google than Magic the Gathering. Their online client has more congruent viewers. There are more content creators creating digital content for Yu-Gi-Oh! Have you seen that trend into more sales in singles and more sales in sealed product?
Yeah, there's been a ton of traffic coming in from Master Duels. It happened with Duel Links when they came out with that 3 or 4 years ago, but that was a little bit different Yu-Gi-Oh! It was a different format, so it appealed to different people, whereas Master Duels, it's given people the opportunity to kind of jump back into the game because they might have stopped playing in 2004, 2005, 2006. And so we've had, I mean, it's probably a handful of people every week that'll come in and say, I picked up Master Duels, I want to get into the physical card game. And it's great because the formats in Master Duels are a smidge different than in person, but I mean, they are close enough to where there are recognizable archetypes that people are like, oh yeah, I want to stick with this archetype. It's my favorite in Master Duels. So it's been honestly great. I cannot commend Konami enough for actually coming out with a great piece of programming and gaming. Like it's been great. It's even sucked me into it, and I don't even have that much time to play games, but I always try to find like a solid hour to just like jump in, play a couple games, and it's just been nice playing like the actual game again.
And that is absolutely amazing. Now, I do want to ask, what is your pet deck on Master Duels? Are you an Eldritch player?
No.
Are you a true Draco player?
I'm playing Thunder Dragon right now, so it's still a little anti-meta, but you can't really play it in the physical card game because the boss monster is currently banned. But when that deck came out a couple years ago, when it was super popular, I was like, man, this is a awesome deck. I really want to play this, but I just didn't have time because I was doing all the events every weekend, and I was just running the store constantly. And then now that I can play it on my phone or the computer, it's just it was just something I always wanted to play. So that's just kind of why I decided to do that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Like I think the first deck I tried to make in that in Master Duels was what was it? Oh, I made True Draco, and I was trying to make Salaman Great deck, and you can't make the Salaman Great deck in Master Duels. And I was like, I really should have researched that a little bit better.
I mean, that's the cool part about Master Duels is the ban list is different comparatively to the in-person one. So it just gives a lot of people the ability to play, decks that they might not normally see. And yeah, that was one thing I was like super excited about is, I went on, I saw the ban list, and it was just kind of like, this isn't banned, this isn't banned, this is at 3, and it was just like kind of mind-blowing seeing just how diverse it was.
Yeah, I think everybody was like, how long until Max gets banned?
Yeah.
Just because like it's been, and it's a really good hand trap. But it just gets banned. It's been banned for so long to have it not banned, but it's like it's okay with the power level. Like it's not that oppressive. Yes, does it allow for some shenanigans? Yes. Do people get a nostalgic kick out of being able to play it? Most definitely. Is it something that they can update later? Yeah, it's a digital platform, and it's nice that it's not the same format. So just because you can play physical, this is going to give you a different experience.
Yep.
At the same flip side of that, just because you can play this, you could also play physical and not be bored, not suffer from that burnout, because they are slightly different formats. Now, Konami doesn't really have a rotating format. Everything is kind of just a banned and restricted format. So I'm super impressed. Now, with that success and with the things appearing to get better for the time being, pandemic related wise, I do want to ask a question that's a little bit gazing into the future, if we will. Alex, what do you want to see, or where do you want to see Grandmaster Games 2 to 3 years down the road? What is the ultimate goal at this point in time?
Sure. So my lease is up in this spot for in about 2 or 3 years. So my plan is actually to have my own building. To actually have a bigger space so I can expand into different games, offer more different things. Because at the old location, I used to do Warhammer pretty often, but this I decided to just focus more on card games, and due to space with like the actual play area, I kind of had to abandon Warhammer, but I never played it prior to the store, but when I did, it was pretty awesome just actually having these little figures and moving around. I didn't know anything about it prior, and I want to get back to that. So, owning my own actual physical location instead of renting, I want to expand into food. There's a lot of things that I wanted to do, at the beginning of 2020. Like a board game library, a manga library, just the whole kind of spectrum of like nerdom is what I wanted to do. So I think in the next 5 years that's probably where we'll be. At least I hope. So that is the goal for now.
Well, that makes me super excited to hear, honestly, because you've checked like every little box of my. I do paint miniatures. I do play miniature war games. I like food.
Yep.
I read. So, I mean, there's nothing that you just mentioned that I don't want to be able to go to a store and find and partake in. So, I'm really hopeful that your 5-year vision is something that manifests, because I live in this state, and I'd definitely be enticed to come.
Yeah, for sure. And that's the goal.
With food.
Yeah, that's the goal too, because I wanted just a place to come and play and hang out, and not necessarily to do tournaments, but just to have a safe place to come and just make friends and enjoy the games or hobbies that we had, and that is the ultimate goal that I want to get to after all of this pandemic stuff kind of chills out more. So hopefully in the next 5 years. Maybe we do another interview. We can see, a new location.
I tell you what, you make that slice of nerd heaven happen right there, and we're definitely coming back for a very long, extended interview where I'm just gonna try all the food and play all the games. So, but no, I do want to thank you so much for setting aside time to sit and talk with us, and for sharing the history of how you kind of just accidentally opened a game store. But thank you for sharing with us. Again, if you, the viewer, are in the Indianapolis area, check out the store. If you are a Yu-Gi-Oh fan, you probably know Shadow Realms for their regional events. Make sure you attend them as they start coming back. And until next time, friends, this has been Rick with BCW. And I'm just reminding you, when it comes to protecting, storing, or displaying your hobbies or collectibles, BCW has you covered. Until the next one, have fun, be safe, and be kind.
Bye.